Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. It's your host, Jeff Vrabel, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi. We're coming at you to break down everything you need to know to lock in all your bets for Week 9 in the NFL. We're going to do a little Week 8 recap, see how we did, go down game by game, break it all down for you for Week 9, and we will finish it off by giving out our favorite bets for long shots, favorite bets of the week, chalk donkey parlay. It's going to be great. Rue, let's get right into it. How was Week 8 for you?
Oh, I mean, what a weird week. We absolutely crushed the player prop sheet. We went 13-1.
Woo!
And then I'm here sitting with two bets of over 7 points in closing line value on the Bengals and the Vikings. And somehow both of them lose outright. I mean, what a wild week. It was the week of the backup quarterback. I said last week, we were due for a loss in the chalk donkey. One of these big underdogs was going to come through, and that happened. But nothing new here. Another profitable week. So looking to get forward to Week 9.
All right. Let's go through our recap, our debate of the week. Rue got a much needed win to break the winning streak for me. We are now even at 3-3 on the year. You had the Niners minus 3.5. I had the Bears, so I got the loss. This actually turned out to be a really fun game. Obviously, you got the cover, but Justin Fields showed some flashes that we've all been waiting to see. He had a couple of those breathtaking plays that you've been waiting to see. The Niners were able to move the ball. Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel were incredible. How'd you feel about this game? I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I was definitely worried early on. And I know I texted you and said, like, of course, like Matt Nagy not here, Justin Fields playing his best game of his career.
What a surprise. What a coincidence.
The 49ers really weren't having too much issue moving the ball against a pretty solid defense. I'm pretty sure they only punted once in the game. That huge 80-yard play by Deebo Samuel, I think, was the big momentum shift in that game.
It was on like 3rd and 22. Like that's what killed them, the Bears at least.
Yeah. So it was honestly pretty encouraging signs from the 49ers offense. So I'll be back on them this week.
Jimmy G should get a few more starts out of this one. If he went down to the Bears, I think it was going to be Trey Lance coming in, but he will save his job for now. Favorite bets of the week. Rue, nothing like an overtime winner. Jonathan Taylor over 67.5 rushing yards. Cashes in overtime. 5-2-1 on the year for you. Talk about Jonathan Taylor.
Well, that was just infuriating because I don't know why for some reason they wanted to let Wentz throw the ball 40 times instead of just handing it off to Taylor. Wentz averaged 4.4 yards per attempt and Taylor averaged 4.4 yards per carry, except Wentz turned the ball over twice. So I don't know why you're just trying to force Wentz to throw the ball when they really couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor. It seemed like early on it was going to have no issue of cashing. I think he had 40 yards in the first half or something, and then they just stopped giving him the ball. So the fact it took till overtime, and if you didn't get on this line early when we grabbed it, you lost, because by the time it closed, it was at 78.5. We were in at 67 or 68.5. So it was nice to get in on that early.
Yeah, another reminder, we cannot stress enough, especially with a lot of these player props, try and get them in early. Sometimes they move against you, sometimes they move with you, but for the most part, we are beating the number on these props, and it pays to get in early, like we saw with Jonathan Taylor. My favorite bet of the week, Bills minus 13.5. I get the cover, move to 6-2 on my favorite bets of the year. Did not like what I saw from the Bills offense. They were really, really sluggish. I know you texted me all day Sunday. Are we worried about the Bills yet? Are we worried about the Bills yet? I really wasn't that worried. I felt like the entire time they were going to cover. Made it a little bit more dramatic than they needed to, but this defense is elite, and the Dolphins really struggled to move the ball here. So nice W. Long shots of the week. Rue, a loss for you. You go to 2-5 on the year. You had a Jonathan Taylor touchdown. Colts money line. Also, this was not a long shot, but when you gave it out on the pod, it probably was. But the line moved so much in the Colts direction that it actually ended up being like plus 150 instead of plus 200. But
yeah, I was shocked by that. I said on the podcast last week I was waiting to see where that line ended up, and it swung so much towards the Colts. I felt like all the value was gone. So
I think the Colts were like plus 1 when we were recording, and they closed minus 3.
Yeah, so it was crazy movement there. I think a lot of pro money came in on that, but. Like you said, it ended up not even really being a long shot, and still should have hit. I mean, Carson Wentz had other plans, but
yes, he did. My long shot of the week, winner, go to 4-3 on the year, over 500 on the long shots. I had Packers plus 6.5, Aaron Jones touchdown, and Aaron Jones over 34.5 receiving yards. Big win for the Packers on Thursday Night Football, somehow cashing my horrible number that I got them at. I got like -4 points of closing line value and still cash the bet.
Yeah, you get -4.
Just how the week went.
I get +7 on two, and I lose both of them. Unreal.
Chalk Donkey Parlay. RIP. 4-1 on the year. We took a loss. We had Bengals, Bills, Bucks, and Rams. Obviously, the Bengals and the Bucks go down outright. It's all right. 4-1 on the year. Still profitable. We'll be right back with more Chalk Donkey Parlays this year. And then let's cap it off with our prop sheet. Just take a second here. I don't really like to brag. I'm very confident in the bets that I put in every week. I know how hard I work and how hard Brew works and how much hours of research we put into this. Our prop sheet is 22-2 over the last 2 weeks, 48-20 on the year. I dare you to try and find another group that is putting out free player props with a full breakdown analysis on every single play, hitting it over 70% for the season. So while we continue to churn out a small profit on sides and totals every week, we are absolutely going to keep destroying these props. That's where the value's at, especially as we get later into the season. These lines are going to get sharper. Player props is where it's at. We are going to look to continue this hot streak this week. And I know that past success does not guarantee future results, but I think our process is really good right now. And I like where we're at.
Yeah. So stop paying for picks. Just listen to us. We'll help you out.
Yeah. No more VIPs. Just got all the information you need right here. You don't need a VIP. You can just hit 70% of your props with, free analysis.
With just two idiots giving free analysis, right?
Exactly. All right. Heroes and zeros of the week. I will send it over to you for your hero of week number 8.
My heroes, I'm going to do a little duo in the Patriots backfield of Mac Jones and Damian Harris. Neither of them really had a monster game. Damian Harris,
some weak heroes.
Yeah, Damian Harris cashes over yards. He cashes touchdown prop for us. So that was 2 wins for us there. And both of them did enough to cover my +6 and obviously win the game outright. Felt really good about this play going in. The line ended up at 3.5 or something. So another one where I had really good value on it. Great game plan from Bill Belichick, as always, against young quarterbacks. And Damian Harris, Mac Jones did their job and got the cover, got the win, and cashed some props. So Damian Harris, Mac Jones, my heroes of the week.
All right, so my hero of the week could potentially be a zero of the week, depending on where you're at with this game. I know you probably feel differently, but my hero of the week is Carson Wentz. As a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, I know all too well how the Carson Wentz experience goes. And the thing that just put this over the top for me was just there were so many people victory lapping on Twitter. I saw prominent names in the NFL industry posting, check out Carson Wentz's consecutive streak without an interception thrown. Are you guys wrong on Carson yet? Are you ready to admit he's a good quarterback? Like, no. Did you watch the 49ers game? He could have thrown 5 pick sixes in that game if the Niners D-backs could catch the ball and it wasn't in a monsoon. It was only a matter of time before regression hit. That interception in the end zone was one of the most hilarious plays you'll ever see, where he throws it left-handed like 2 feet in front of him to the guy standing right there while he's being tackled by 4 guys, and then gives away the game in overtime. So I didn't have too much on this game. Go ahead.
I was going to say the one in overtime, he threw into triple coverage. And if you watch the replay, Jonathan Taylor's out of the backfield like 2 yards away with no one within 10 to 15 yards of him. He could have just dumped it off, gotten an easy first down, gotten close to midfield. Instead, he throws into triple coverage.
Yeah, I don't know what he was looking at, but I know that me and Rue both have futures on the Colts to miss the playoffs, under win total, Titans to win the division. So even with the Derrick Henry injury, I think this game from Carson Wentz pretty much sealed our fate on those futures. So thank you, Carson Wentz. Rue, your zero of the week.
Oh man, there was a bunch you could have gone for this week.
I know this is tough
between the Bengals, between the refs and the Bengals game making that call at the end, but I got to go with Taylor Heineke and the entire football's offense. For the second week in a row, they go 0-for in the red zone. They were 0-for-2. They were 0-for-6 last week. They're 2 of 13 over the last 2 weeks, scoring touchdowns inside the opponent's 30-yard line. They had 2 block kicks this week, 1 block kick the week before. They only punted 1 time in this game and had 10 points. How is that possible? I mean, unbelievable. This was one of those games where you're right on the game. It was the same thing against the Packers. Your handicap was right. I feel like you were on the right side and you still didn't win. I had them +4, and I also had them as the last leg of a +1700 underdog money line parlay with the
no.
Steelers and the Panthers. They had every chance to win this game. That the Broncos fumbled it back towards the end of the game, and they gave them another chance, and they just cannot get this ball in the end zone. I'm so happy they're on a bye week because I can't take it anymore.
Well, maybe if they would give the ball to their second best player on offense, Antonio Gibson, instead of keeping him on the sidelines the whole game and using a 3 running back rotation, maybe that would help.
Yeah.
Not good, though.
No.
My 0 of the week, I was pretty torn here. I think the obvious one is FanDuel Sportsbook.
Oh, my God.
Weak move by FanDuel. I don't even want to go down that road. So my 0 of the week, I will keep it in the NFL, is Mike Vrabel. I am holding him personally responsible for this injury and the downfall of King Henry. We as football fans now do not get to witness one of the greatest running backs to ever play this game in the prime of his career. I get it. Derrick Henry's awesome. You want to give players that are awesome the ball when you're the head coach. But we have been saying for years now, since Mike Vrabel has taken over for this team, that he has mismanaged Derrick Henry and just used him at unnecessary times. I can't even remember how many times the Titans have been late in the fourth quarter. There was a game against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. They're up 27-3 with 6 minutes left in the game, and they run Derrick Henry 4 times in a row. Like, I get you want to give him the ball, but they could have done so much more to try and limit his touches. Even as much of a freak as he is, it was only a matter of time before you give the guy 378 carries and 681 over the last 2 years that he was going to break down. So it sucks. The injury is brutal. We get screwed as fans for not getting to see more Derrick Henry. So Mike Vrabel, my 0 of the week.
Oh, and he went back in the game with the foot injury.
Yeah, they put him back in with a broken foot and kept giving him the ball.
Whether that made it worse or not, I can't imagine it made it better. But that was the ultimate stupid move for me. So now we get to watch Adrian Peterson again.
Yep. Curious to see what that looks like. We will find out this week. All right. That will wrap up our week 8 recap. Let's go to Tansy's tip of the week. This week we have on tap bankroll management. So I'll start off here. The first thing that came to mind for me, rule number 1 for bankroll management, starts when you make your first deposit into a sports book. And rule number 1 for me is, if you ever deposit money into a sports book, you must accept the fact that 100% of that money may be lost. If you deposit with the expectation of turning $500 into $1,000, $1,000 into $2,000, and so on and so forth, you're setting yourself up for failure. Obviously, that can be the goal. That's something you can hope to accomplish. But if that's your expectation that you're going to make more money, you're simply setting yourself up for failure. You should never be depositing money that you need in your life into a sportsbook account. The next thing that I thought of was, on a week-to-week basis, how you kind of manage your bankroll. And I thought there was a couple ways you could go about this. You could do units. So you could set a certain amount of your bankroll to be a quote unquote unit. Maybe it's a percentage, maybe it's a $50 amount or whatever. And that's just kind of your standard bet on each NFL play. That way you don't end up with, 5 $20 bets and then one team that you have $300 on. It's just totally misallocated. Or you could do something like you set aside a certain amount of money each week. So you do, okay, I have $200. I'm going to set aside this $200 for all my NFL bets for week 9. And you can allocate that however you want. I kind of do this with my parlays. I give myself like $150 each week to put on parlays, and the rest of my bets are all straight bets. So those were kind of the things that I wrote right down off the top. Rue, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I'll say there's no really right or wrong way to do it. I would just say, what you're capable.
I would kind of say there's a wrong way to do it.
Well, there's a wrong. There's different ways of doing it. Like even you and I are different. I mean, we both play similar unit sizes, but you'll do, some 3 and 4 unit bets where I typically stick within my 1 to 2 unit bets. You can bet based on unit size, or you can bet to win a unit, by meaning you either bet $100 or you can bet to win $100. So it's kind of whatever you want there. So you're laying juice one way or the other. And I would just say one of the big things about bankroll managing, and it's not something talked about often, is tilting. Like if you're having a bad day, if it comes to the Sunday night game and I'm down, say 4 units on the day, you just got to just keep there. It was a bad week. End it there. Don't end up throwing 4 units or something to try and win it all back on one game. Everyone's going to have a losing week. We're going to have a losing week at some point. It's going to happen. Stay within yourself. I think, I would say this is something you and I got really good at over the last 2 years. I didn't think we really had a sense of, how to manage our bankroll up until a few years ago. We've gotten really good at it and, been playing with house money ever since. So,
If you do this right, you make one deposit into a sportsbook account and you will never have to make another deposit again. It is just withdrawals. Like I deposited once into DraftKings Sportsbook, have not deposited since. Don't ever plan on it. Have a ton of money in there. That's the goal. That's what happens if you do this right.
Yeah. So my biggest tip is just stay within your boundaries. You know what you can afford. Don't tilt, and just let the profit build up over time.
Yeah, don't double down just because you lost on Sunday. Does not mean the Monday night bet needs to go from 2 units to 4 units. No. That's a good way to get down even more. Just stick to what you've been doing. If you have a losing week, it happens. Move on. All right, we have said all that there is to say, except for week 9 in the NFL. Let's jump into that. Thursday night football. Let's go Jets and the Colts. Colts are 10.5-point home favorites. Over under is 46. We are going to have another week of the Mike White experience with Zach Wilson still out. I believe Corey Davis is still questionable. The Jets now have wins over the Titans and Bengals as their only 2 wins on the season. And Carson Wentz is somehow a 10.5-point favorite here. Very confusing line. Do you have a play on the cider total here?
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if a 9.5 comes up, and then I'll take the Colts. This is just like the ultimate buy low, sell high spot. I mean, it happens sometimes where guys in all sports make their debut, have a big game, but then you get some film on them and you can game plan for it. I don't expect Mike White to be able to sit there and dump it off to Michael Carter for 100 yards again this week. The Colts are going to have something for that. And look, I don't think the Colts are a bad team. I think that they just find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. And I know that's what bad teams do, but I don't look at them in the same light as, say, the Footballs, who I think are a bad team who also shoot themselves in the foot. I think this Colts team is actually a pretty decent team. Like I said, they really just need to ride Jonathan Taylor. There's no reason this guy shouldn't be getting 20-plus carries a game. Balance out the run pass. Jets are 23rd in rush DVOA. Just hand it to Taylor. Let him do his thing. I think this defense should have success stopping Mike White. I'm pretty much in full Mike White fade mode this week. I'm looking at his yards under possibly, but haven't pulled the trigger yet.
I'm not quite there with you. That the side on this one is pretty easily a pass for me, as is the total. I don't want to bet on Mike White, but I'm not necessarily lining up to fade him. I think he might be able to be okay. So no play here on the side or total for me, but I do have some props in this game. Do you have any props that you stood out to you?
No, nothing. No props.
Nothing?
No.
Not even Jonathan Taylor rush yards?
Well, I mean, look, 83.5 is not a bad number for, the matchup and all that, but I don't know how much I trust him getting the work at this point.
Yeah, that was kind of what I wrote down. I put a smaller bet on the over on 83.5 Taylor rush yards. He's had 145, 107, and 70 the last 3 weeks. But like we've said, for some reason, the Colts offense still has not realized that Carson Wentz stinks. And I just don't want to sit there watching Taylor get 5 yards a carry and only get the ball 15 times and Carson Wentz throws it 40 times because I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, and correct me if I'm wrong. The games where he had those big yardage games, there was all one big run sprinkled in there, I believe. So if,
potentially,
certainly possible against the Jets, but I don't want to be hoping for that. I'd rather be able to just bank on him getting 20 carries and easily being able to hit it. But I can't do that with the way, they've been running this offense.
Yeah. Other props for me in this game, Michael Carter, over 35.5 receiving yards. Cashed it last week. We're going right back to it this week. Colts are 20th in DVOA against the pass compared to number 1 in the league against the run. They're actually 23rd in the passing game against opposing running backs. And all Michael Carter has done since Mike White has taken over has gone for 67 and 95 receiving yards in the last 2 games. Yes, I think the Colts are aware of this and they're going to be keying on him, but I just think the volume's going to be there. He's going to see 7 or 8 targets, and I think Carter can definitely get over 35.5 yards. I like this anywhere up to 38.5.
All right. I doubted you on this last week.
Yeah, he only hit the over by like 75 yards. It barely came home.
I don't know if I'll be on it this week. I want to see.
If Colts, you're not on it now, you're never gonna get it. Like this is. Oh,
I agree. Yeah, but I'm fine passing on it. I don't hate the play. I'm not disagreeing with you. Just not what I'm thrilled about.
Okay, let me see if I can sell you on this last one. Can I interest you in some Mike White under 4.5 rushing yards?
No, we're not doing this quarterback.
Okay, listen. We're doing it. Okay, so in college football, your rushing total as a quarterback does account for sacks.
Yeah. So what are we doing here?
Would you like to guess what his total was his senior year as a quarterback at Western Kentucky in the rushing game?
What, -200 or something?
-268 yards.
Right.
The longest run of his career, or in his senior season, was for 10 yards. And last week he went for -1 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, well,
that's a pretty strong case for the under.
It's one run. We see, like I said it before,
getting 5 yards in the NFL is not a guarantee.
I completely agree. It's not a guarantee, but it takes one play, one broken play where he has to rolls out.
He can get 2 yards on that broken play. The guy's the slowest guy on the field at all times.
I don't know. It's to me, it's not like I don't know how to put it. Like, I'm just betting that this guy won't have a rollout broken play. There's nothing I can look at matchup based or anything like that. It's just there's nothing to it except you're hoping there's not one play where he has to run the ball.
A 100% hit rate.
Yeah, in a quarter and a half or a game and a half. Sorry.
All right, let's move on here unless you have anything else to say.
I feel like we argued on this on Matt Stafford a couple weeks ago. He hit the over. We argued on Aaron Rodgers. He hit the over. So
last week I went 2-0 on these. I had Burrow under 6.5. He had like -1
it's
yard.
It's a coin flip every week with these props.
No, it's not a coin flip. I don't bet coin flips.
Right.
I bet edges. I have an edge here on my
feels like a coin flip. Yeah, based on his college stats that factor in his sacks. Come on,
it's a weighted coin. If he couldn't get more than 10 yards in a rush at Western Kentucky 4 years ago, he's not doing it in the NFL against the Indianapolis Colts.
All right, whatever you say.
All right, moving on to Sunday here. We have the Buffalo Bills, road favorites by 14.5 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over under is down to 48.5. Bills got a nice win over the Dolphins last week. Defense was absolutely suffocating, holding the Dolphins to only 11 total points and 262 total yards. Offense was a little bit concerning. The Jaguars are right back off the bye and right back to being the Jaguars. I don't know what they were doing over the bye week, but it certainly did not help them as they got stomped by Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. A little bit concerning about the backfield situation. James Robinson is currently banged up. We do not know if he's going to play. Have you heard any convincing reports one way or the other on James Robinson?
No, I'm just operating under like a 50-50 type deal right now. And that, could be Carlos Hyde, could be James Robinson, who's in for a few snaps and ends up getting hurt. So I don't see any reason to force him out there, but.
Oh, it's Urban Meyer.
It's not my call. Not my call.
So I don't have a play on this game. I feel like I have a weird blind spot on the Jacksonville Jaguars for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just convinced that they're not that bad of a team. I still view them as like this pesky underdog that can put up some points and hang around in games. I don't know where this narrative comes from. I'm not saying they've really shown this on the field in really any game this season. That's just what's in my mind. So as soon as I saw this spread, I was not interested. It was an easy pass for me. Did you have a play here, Rue?
Unless they're playing in London, I don't think you can really make a case for the Jags. But
yeah, they need a home game in London. What is this Jacksonville crap? Play all the home games in London.
Yeah, so this opened at 13.5. I jumped on the Bills. I was honestly expecting 16 or 17.5. So getting this under 2 touchdowns, I was pretty happy. You talked about it last week. The Bills like covering these bigger spreads. They tack on points late in games. I don't see any way. How are the Jaguars scoring here? How are they stopping Buffalo from scoring? I know Buffalo's offense didn't look great last week, but I'm willing to give them a pass there. I just don't see. I don't see how Jags have any success here. They just got stomped by Geno Smith, letting him complete 80+% of his passes, and now like we're saying they might not have James Robinson, which was the biggest strength of their offense in the run game. So this is just all Bills for me. Like I said, I love getting it under 2 touchdowns. So Bills minus 13.5. And I do have a prop here. I didn't play it. Wanted to run it by you, see your thoughts on it. So Dan,
we do not have official lines in this game.
I do have official lines. I got it on FanDuel.
But since when did these books with the props? FanDuel is always last every single week at releasing props, except for the 1 week where I'm only checking DraftKings Sportsbook, and now FanDuel decides that they want to set the market for props. Unbelievable. All right, go ahead.
All right, Dan Arnold, his yards are at 30.5. Want to wait to see where his reception totals are at. Last 3 games, he's had 10, 5, and 8 targets with 68, 27, and 64 yards. Bills DVOA against wide receiver ones, 3rd. wide receiver 2's first, wide receiver 3's third, tight ends 7. So still top 10. But
big drop off there.
Still top 10, but if there is one blind spot, I guess it's the tight end. But
really set that one up hard.
From a volume perspective, 23 targets over the last 3 games. He's hit the over in 2 out of the last 3. Definitely, I guess he's getting some rapport with Trevor Lawrence. We know they're going to be trailing. If they can't run the ball with James Robinson, he's got to throw to someone. So I think it's worth a look. Like I said, didn't play it yet. Wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Why did you not play it yet?
I wanted to, it's part of the podcast. We run things by each other. Wanted your thoughts on it.
Sold.
Okay.
Drop the hammer.
All right.
Sold.
Dan Arnold.
I like it. I was really expecting him to be. I mean, I know it's a tough matchup, but I was probably expecting more like 37.5, 39.5 on Arnold.
All right, fair enough.
I have a look for a prop in this game, but I do not have a line available yet, even on the almighty, pathetic FanDuel Sportsbook. I was going to look at Carlos Hyde under rush yards if James Robinson sits. Hyde's going to get the majority of the workload. We know Urban Meyer loves himself some Carlos Hyde, but the Bills' defense is elite against the run. Jaguars going to be playing from behind. I could easily see 12 to 13 carries, but I think this is going to be like a 12 carry for 30-yard performance. So I think as a starting running back, his line will probably be like 37.5, 39.5, somewhere in that high 30s, low 40s range. I would be comfortable playing the under. Bills defense is just suffocating. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, that was all we had on this game. Let's move on to Patriots and the Panthers. I don't know what order I'm going in here. I apologize. Panthers are currently 3.5-point home dogs. Over under is down to a rock bottom 41. A lot of injury questions here on the Panthers side. We are not sure about the health status of Christian McCaffrey. It sounds like he's maybe trending towards missing, but he is testing some stuff at practice, so we'll see. And the quarterback situation, Sam Darnold has had a couple of concussions this year. I'm not sure if he is going to be able to clear concussion protocol. It sounds fairly optimistic right now, but we could see PJ Walker. So I have a strategy in this game. I took the Patriots early. I got their money line around minus 150. I think the spread was Patriots minus 2.5 at this point. If Sam Darnold does not play and it is PJ Walker, I think I'm going to come back and play the Carolina Panthers if this spread moves up. I think that if Darnold is out and Walker is in, we could realistically see maybe a 2 to 2.5 point move in the market. And if this ever got to Panthers 6, I think I might play back on the Panthers just in a low total game. I don't think there's that big of a difference between Sam Darnold and PJ Walker. And if it is Sam Darnold and the spread holds in this spot, I will just stick with my Patriots money line and feel pretty confident in that play.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't know how much I'd be curious to see how much it affected the line if Darnold was ruled out. Cause
I feel like people always overreact to I feel like there has to be some adjustment, but yeah, like when I think about it, I'm like, I really don't think there's that big of a difference.
Yeah, this game's kind of a stay away for me from the spread perspective. It seems about right to me. I think this is going to be a ground-based game. Both teams should be able to have some success. They're ranked 17th and 19th in DVOA against the rush, 6th and 10th against the pass. So both teams want to run the ball. I might see if I can hit on Chuba yards again. I know you tried to talk me off him last week, but I stuck to it and he hit the over.
I still don't like it. Even though it hit, I still don't think it was the right play.
What are you talking about?
He's not that good of a.
I know he's not that great, but I said, like Matt Rule has been saying for 2 to 3 weeks, they want to establish the run. They want to be able to run the ball. And that was a matchup. They could run the ball. He got enough carries that it was a low enough total to where if he just got the volume, he was going to hit the over. And that's exactly what happened. So if I get him in the 60s again, mid 60s where he was last week, I think I held out. It moved from like 68 to 64.5 where I grabbed it. So if it's anywhere around there, I'll probably take it. And obviously, we are always keeping an eye on Damian Harris props. I think getting him at a touchdown at plus money last week was an absolute steal. So if we get anything close to that again, I'll be on him again. But as far as the spread, nothing there. I would lean the under, but it's kind of in that range where it's not really playable for me.
Okay, here's why I did not like Chuba and why I do not like him moving forward. He got a ton of volume last week. I think that was incredibly lucky. The amount of carries that he got relative to the snaps that he was seeing it's not something that can happen moving forward. Chuba Hubbard only played on 55% of the Panthers offensive snaps. Matt Rule has also been talking up Amir Abdullah every chance he gets in his press conferences. Abdullah played 22 snaps last week and Royce Freeman played 11. So if the Panthers aren't in a game script where they're playing from ahead and they have to run the ball every play, or they get to run the ball every play, I really don't think you're going to see that level of efficiency or that level of volume from Chuba Hubbard. He's barely playing half the snaps.
But if they're running every snap he's in there, or most of the snaps,
I don't think they're going to be able to. I think they're going to be playing from behind this game. Last week they were ahead.
Well, yeah, I don't think they're going to be behind. You think they're going to be behind by enough to where they can just abandon the run, especially.
No, I'm not saying they're going to abandon the run, but I don't think they're going to be running as much as they were last week.
I disagree. I think a 41 over under Panthers defense is pretty solid. I don't worry about the Patriots exactly running the score up or anything like that. I think this is going to be a tight, close game.
I disagree.
All right.
On Chuba, not the rest of the stuff, but we'll see. Maybe you'll be right again. For my prop for this game, I think you already touched on this enough, but Damian Harris, I think going right back to him on the over rush yards. We think it's going to be a good game script for them. This Patriots offensive line is better at run blocking than they are at pass blocking. And as good as the Panthers D line has been, they are a little bit better rushing the passer than they are at generating push against the run. So I think Damian Harris is in for another good game here, as you alluded to.
Is Robbie Anderson playing?
Oh yeah, he's out there every week. You know, like every pass that Darnold throws that isn't completed, that was a target to Robbie Anderson.
I didn't know after he got basically set into the grave last week on that hit, I wasn't sure if he was playing this week.
Oh, he actually came back into the game last week after that hit.
Oh, okay.
I was shocked. I could not believe he came back on.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure when he got hurt, he had one catch, and when he ended the game with one catch, I assumed he didn't go back in.
The gift that keeps on giving. Robbie Anderson unders. We will be firing him up right again.
They can't throw out another 4.5, can they? There's no way.
It got bet last week. There were people betting it. His yards opened at 45.5 and closed at 49.5. People, who are you out there? You need help. If you bet on Robbie Anderson overs last week, you need to listen to this podcast. You need to take notes very closely. You are in need of serious, serious help, and we will help you. We can help you make better bets. He's
the Alfred Payton of the NFL. You just take his unders every week until it stops working.
The Elf Payton under train has turned into the Robbie A under train. We're going to keep riding it. All right, let's go to Browns and Bengals. AFC North divisional battle. Bengals are 2.5-point home favorites. Over under is 46.5. Bengals somehow inexcusably lost to the Jets last week. The Browns lost to the Steelers. Odell Beckham Jr. can't catch. Is blaming Baker Mayfield. Decided he doesn't want to be with the team anymore, so he's gone. There was a couple more injuries to the Browns offensive line. This offense is just really sad. They can't move the ball. Baker doesn't look right. Nick Chubb can't do it all. Jarvis Landry drops the ball. When he does catch it, he fumbles the game away. It's a mess here. I actually like the Bengals a lot. I think this Cleveland defense, as solid as they've been, I think they can be exploited through the air. And like I said, I just don't think the Browns have enough firepower on offense to keep up with Joe Burrow and co. He has too many weapons. So I took the Bengals money line at -143. It looks like it's all right. It's still in that range now, around -140. And I also took the Bengals team total over 22.5. What say you?
Yeah, I think the Browns are live for teasers. That would be my play on the spread here as far as the straight up spread. It kind of seems like a coin flip game to me. I was contemplating the under. Second and third slowest pace teams in the league, both hovering around 40% on third down. Cleveland's been really bad converting in the red zone. But at the same time, I feel like the outcome of both of these teams is just so extreme that I don't really feel comfortable playing it. We've seen Cleveland play in these low scoring, grinded out type games like against the Vikings and Steelers. And then we see them in shootouts like against the Chargers, where their defense gets absolutely exploited and their offense can put up points. And then Cincinnati offense, you said it, like I feel like they do have the tools to exploit the secondary of the Browns. And they're another offense that can be dormant through a quarter and a half like we saw against the Ravens and then explode for 20 to 30 points and a half. So not in a rush to really back either of these teams on the spread. And I'm a little hesitant to play the total. So another stay away game for me as of right now.
Okay. I'm going to be on the Bengals. I did have a couple props in this game that I was looking at. So, as I said, the Cleveland Browns defense ranks third against the run in DVOA. They are 25th against the pass. The Browns defense is also ranked 28th in the league against deep passes. So, I think Joe Burrow is going to have some success throwing the ball here. I'm going to look at his passing yards over. And we took a week off from this prop last week, but I think Jamar Chase over longest reception is going to be back in play. Like I just said, this Browns defense has been very susceptible to the deep pass this year. So I think the Bengals are going to try and attack them down the field. They're going to take a few shots with Chase. They might take a shot with T. Higgins or so. So I'm pretty high on the Bengals offense this week. I'm going to look at a couple overs in the passing game once we get definitive numbers on them.
Yeah, my one lean was taking a look at where Burrow's pass yards are. So I think we're on the same page there.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Let's move on. Raiders and Giants. Giants are currently around +2.5, +3, depending on where you're looking. Over under is down to 46.5. Ton of injury news here. We have Saquon, obviously has the ankle injury. Now he's on the COVID list. Does sound like he is vaccinated, so has a chance to still play. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Kenny Golladay up in the air. Sterling Shepard up in the air. Kadarius Toney played last week, but wasn't really a factor in the game. Didn't really look that great. On the Raiders side, Henry Ruggs is out forever. Don't think we need to say much more on that situation. Haven't heard a ton on Darren Waller. I would assume he's trending towards playing, but I don't know for sure. I think Henry Ruggs is a pretty big loss for this Raiders offense. I'm not saying that he's like a spread impact player or anything where it's like, the Raiders can't have success because Henry Ruggs isn't there. Like, he's not a special receiver or anything like that. But I just think that he brought such an element of speed and the ability to take the top off the defense and present that downfield passing threat. I think he was really the key to opening stuff up underneath for Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow, who have both been having huge seasons so far. So I think that this Ruggs, his absence is going to be a problem for this Raiders passing offense. I think they're going to take a bit of a step back here because they just don't have any speed.
Yeah, you just read the notes off my page. That's why I was laughing. So I
can't see your page.
I said this Ruggs, like you said, it's a big impact. And I had the same thing down. It's not a guy who's going to impact the spread like we saw with Devontae Adams.
Right.
But in the Raiders' 2 losses, Derek Carr averaged 5.8 and 5.9 yards per attempt. And in their wins, 7.8, 10.3, 9, 12.6, and 9.5. So it's all about this downfield passing game for the Raiders. And that's Ruggs. And like you said, it opens everything up underneath and stretches the field. And I think they're just really going to miss that element, even if he's not getting, he's not a high volume type guy, but just a couple passes a game, one big completion. It just makes the biggest difference for this team. And so many of them seem to come at such a big point in the games. Like, he's had so many big receptions, clutch receptions down the field. So they don't have a good enough running game to lean on, so it'll really be interesting to see if Bryan Edwards or one of these other receivers can step up. I was actually leaning the Raiders, but now with this Ruggs, whatever you want to call it, this game's a pass for me because the Giants offense did absolutely nothing to instill confidence in me on Monday, even though they covered. And I just assume that, whichever one of these receivers are active, they're going to get hurt anyway. So this game is a pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to play the Giants here. I did, but they're just so bad at home that they're a better team on the road. They're better at covering bigger spreads. I feel like when it's close like this, if I was getting like an 8 or an 8.5, that's the kind of game that I kind of like the Giants in. Since we played them last week against the Chiefs +10.5, I think that was a better spot. So I don't have a play here. I was kind of looking at the Giants, but there's just too many injuries. Maybe if they get everyone back, I might look at them if you still get +3, but nothing really here. And then for a prop standpoint, I did not have any matchups that stood out. I feel like it's hard to really trust anything on this Giants offense. We don't know who's playing yet. And then, like we said, on the Raiders offense, I don't exactly know. Like, we've seen Hunter Renfrow get a bunch of catches this year, but I don't know if we can count on that to continue moving forward without Ruggs taking the top off. So I didn't have anything that I really could feel good about even looking at from a prop standpoint.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nothing here.
All right, let's go to another fun one. Texans and Dolphins. Dolphins are 6.5 point home favorites. Over under is 46.5. Hopefully Hopefully Tyrod Taylor will be back this week. I do not have any official word on this, but I did take a piece of the Texans at +7 on the opener, thinking that Tyrod Taylor would be good enough to play. I'm not going to love that play if it's Davis Mills, but I do think there's a good chance that Tyrod is back here. These are just two bad teams. I get that the Texans are probably the worst team in the league, but the Dolphins are not that much ahead of them. I don't think that the Dolphins should be laying 7 points against anyone. I think the fair spread here, if Tyrod plays, should probably be like 4, maybe even 3.5. I think there's that big of a difference between him and Davis Mills. So I like the Texans here at +7, and I'm thinking about an over here. I know that these offenses have been kind of hit or miss, but I think these defenses are just so bad. And we've seen Tua kind of take advantage of some of these weaker matchups. He moved the ball and put up a ton of points against the Falcons. We saw them move the ball against the Jaguars. And I think Tyrod can do enough to get to maybe, 17 points or something, and you can hit the over here. So I kind of like the over at 45.5, 46.
Yeah, I also took a piece of Texans +7, hoping for Tyrod, but I'm fine with it with Davis Mills. And I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this last week with the Giants and Chiefs spread +10. I said, who the hell are the Chiefs to be giving 10 points to anyone right now? And that's how I feel about the Dolphins here. Why? How are the Dolphins 7-point favorites over anyone right now? They just lost to the Jaguars a couple weeks ago, and you're telling me this team deserves 7 points? There's no way. I have no problem taking 7 here with the Texans. Obviously, I want Tyrod, but I'm fine with Davis Mills. I think they can hang in there and get a backdoor cover. So give me the Texans +7, and I feel great about it. I do have a prop here. I went with Devontae Parker over 56.5 yards. He had 8 receptions on 11 targets in his first game back from injury last week. He has seen 7+ targets in all 5 of his games. Texans are allowing 8.1 yards per pass. They are actually top 3 in DVOA against wide receiver ones, but I went back and looked through their games, and teams with a legit wide receiver one that is actually good, like Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, they all had monster games, but teams like the Patriots, Browns, Jaguars, I think kind of inflated that number for them. So give me Devontae Park here. Like you said, I think Tua can take advantage of a pretty weak defense here. So 56.5. I was expecting this mid-60s.
Absolutely love it. This is in contention for my favorite bet of the week. You pretty much took all the words off my page, and I am all over Devontae Parker with you. And I'm pretty high on this Dolphins passing game as a whole. I also like Mike Gesicki over 46.5 receiving yards. Texans are 29th in DVOA against the tight end. He has been over this number in 5 of the last 6 games. And then if we like the Dolphins passing game, let's just go Tua over 246.5 passing yards. I think this was another one. I was expecting mid to high 260s here. Outside of the 2 games against the best defense in the league, the Bills, Tua had over 290 passing yards in both his games against the Jaguars and Falcons. I think we can pretty safely assume that this Texans defense profiles much closer to the Jaguars and Falcons than it does to the Bills. So I like pretty much every over in the Dolphins passing game, particularly Mr. Devontae Parker.
Sweet.
And on the Texans, we'll see where Brandon Cooks opens up, but probably not as high on the Texans offense in terms of props.
No, unless we get a really good number, but.
All right, let's move on to Vikings and Ravens. If I can find it here, the Ravens are going to be 6-point home favorites. Over under is going to be at 50. The Vikings somehow just lost to Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys, and the Baltimore Ravens have not left the state of Maryland in like 9 weeks here. They just get to play at home every single week, apparently. Sammy Watkins and Latavius Murray are expected to return to the Ravens coming off the bye. As I'm in a real predicament here. The number says to bet the Vikings. I despise Mike Zimmer. I despise this Vikings team. They've just given away so many games this year. They're way too talented to be as bad as they are. But I just think that 6 points is too many here. Even in every loss this season that the Vikings have had, they've all been by less than 6 points. I think I should bet the Vikings here, but I haven't been able to pull myself to do it. Where are you at here?
Yeah, I'm with the spot here is the Vikings, and there's not a doubt about it. 6 points with the Vikings here.
It has to be the Vikings.
But I can't trust his team. What I saw last week, like Kirk Cousins they were having success throwing the ball down the field, and then for some reason, they like 2 or 3 series in a row, they just come out pass behind the line of scrimmage, pass 2 yards, pass behind the line of scrimmage. I didn't get it. Kirk Cousins can throw the ball down the field. You could attack that Dallas defense down the field, and they just completely went the other way. So I don't know what the game plan was there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you're letting Cooper Rush drive down the field. So, and we talked about it last week, how bad the Vikings are on the defensive line, stopping the run. So that, the Ravens should be able to have success running the ball here. I feel like both these teams, again, I feel like there's such an extreme outcome. We've seen both sides of it for both teams. Like I said it last week, when the Vikings offense clicks, they can compete with pretty much anyone, but you don't know when it's going to click. And same thing with the Ravens. We've seen them look like one of the best teams in the league, and then we've seen them absolutely implode like we did before the bye week. So the Vikings is the spot if you're taking this game in our opinion, apparently. So I'm not playing it right now, but I don't know, if it keeps going up, I'm going to have to take it at some point.
If it got to 6.5, would you take it? 7?
I would need a 7. If it hits 7, it was almost like the Steelers last week. I was not planning on betting the Steelers, and I just kept seeing it go up and up and up. And I was like, all right, now I got to take the Steelers. So if I see a 7, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement here. I'm going to try my hardest to pass on this game, but if it gets to 7, I'm just going to have to close my eyes and bet the Vikings here and pray that Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins can figure it out for 1 week. For props, I didn't have much here. I think you kind of touched on this a little bit. The Vikings have been very good against the pass this year, very bad against the run, but the Ravens offense that has been historically great rushing the ball has really not had that much success this year. The running backs are all kind of washed up and old and going through some weird rotation. So it's kind of hard to figure out which guy it's going to be. Probably a stay away from me. And then the Vikings offense, the one real constant, Justin Jefferson, was just pretty much completely disappearing last week. So I don't know if I can trust him. So nothing really for me in the prop game.
Yeah, maybe if you get any sort of a discount on Justin Jefferson, I'd look there. If they bump his receptions down to 5.5 juiced up, I would probably take it. But yeah, nothing I'm too thrilled about here.
He's also probably going to see Marlon Humphrey, which will be a tough matchup. Not that he can't beat Humphrey, but
wasn't tough for Jamar Chase.
It's true. That is true. All right, let's move on here. Let's go to the Broncos and the Cowboys. Cowboys are 9-point home favorites right now. Over under is 49.5. Looks like the Cowboys just might win every game for the rest of the season. Apparently, even Cooper Rush starting is not enough to get them to lose the game. The Broncos accidentally beat the Footballs last week after literally trying to lose the game in every way possible. They went like fumble, incomplete pass, lost fumble on a 3-play stretch at the end of that game. The main question here is obviously the health of Dak Prescott. From all reports that I am reading, it sounds like, barring some crazy setback, he is going to be on track to play this week. And then the Broncos team kind of just falling apart as they have been all season. Left tackle Garrett Bowles is going to be out with an ankle sprain. They also lost a starting cornerback. Obviously, Von Miller was traded, which sends out some, not great vibes to the rest of the team. And then Noah Fant was placed on the COVID list yesterday, so his status is in doubt. And just a quick note on, I'll make that note later. I'm going to be monitoring the Dak situation closely and praying that he plays, but I have basically set up my week right now where if the Dallas Cowboys win and win big, I am going to have a very good week. I am extremely high on them. I bet them in a teaser. I found it at 8.5 on one book for about an hour. So got as much teaser action as I could on that one. And then I've laid it with the Cowboys here at -9. I just don't see how this Broncos offense is going to keep up with them. It's almost a guarantee that the Cowboys are scoring 28 points in this game. And I really, really struggle to see how the Broncos score more than 17. I like the Cowboys here all over the place.
Yeah, so I took them in a teaser. They were actually at 9 when I took them, so I teased at 3. I wasn't sure if an 8.5 was.
Why didn't you just do 6.5?
I didn't want to lay the extra juice.
Better than pushing on 3, then you do.
Why am I going to push on 3? I feel pretty confident the Cowboys, like you said, but how are the Broncos keeping up in this game? They traded Von Miller, basically giving up on the season. This offense against the Footballs, which is shaped up to be one of the worst defenses in the league, really weren't able to generate much offense. So, I don't need to run off all the numbers for Dallas because I pretty much come on here and sing their praises every week except for last week. But I don't see them having any issues running away with this. Still at home, I expect Dak to be back. So The 9.5 is just still kind of at a point where I don't really want a piece of it. It's just in a complete dead zone for me at this point. So I'll stick with my one teaser, and I am satisfied there.
So did you learn your lesson last week for doubting the Cowboys? Are you never getting off them again?
I mean, what a great week to doubt the Cowboys when Cooper Rush ends up playing it. And I'm almost glad he did play, because if Dak played, I would have looked like probably more of an ass when they lost by 40 points. But yeah, never again.
All right, never again. Props here for me. I have 2 spots written down. On the Broncos side, going to be looking at Albert O. If Noah Fant does end up missing this game, the Cowboys are actually dead last at defending opposing tight ends this year. So fire up Albert O. We'll see where his yards are at. Maybe we can get him at an anytime touchdown plus 300 or better. Don't predict a lot of touchdowns here for the Broncos, so maybe you just stick to his yards. But I think old Albert O could be in a good spot here.
Interesting.
All right, we got an interesting. And then I'm going to go back to Zeke over rush yards. Broncos defense is 27th in the league against the run. Cowboys have the best offensive line in football, and the Broncos D line has been underwhelming so far. They're already missing Bradley Chubb and will now also be missing Von Miller too. So I think they are going to feed the Zeke man.
Yeah, I think Tony Pollard's his props are live too. If this game does play out to where the Cowboys are up pretty big, I think Pollard gets his fair share of work in the second half. So I'm also on the Zeke play, but I do think Pollard is live as well.
Okay, good idea. All right, let's go to the Falcons and the Saints. Heading down to the NFC South. Saints are 6-point home favorites. Over under is going to be 42. Falcons coming off a loss to the Panthers. Saints coming off a huge win against the reigning Super Bowl champs. Jameis Winston is going to be done for the season. Not sure if it's going to be Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian here. And then on the Falcons side, Calvin Ridley is going to be out for an extended period of time. I actually took a piece of the Falcons at +5 here. I got some bad injury news when I was betting these openers.
+5? You got +5?
That's So when I was betting this, I read some injury report that made it sound like Taysom Hill was definitely going to miss this week. And I thought the Falcons were valuable at 5. So I bet them at +5. And now I'm reading all this stuff where Taysom Hill has a good chance to play. And if he plays, I don't necessarily like this play as much. I was more betting against Trevor Siemian. So I'm kind of annoyed about that, but I still think that this is, there's not really that big of a difference in the NFL between 5 and 6. I still think this is too many points for the Saints to be laying. It's a potential letdown spot. It's a low total game. I know the Falcons haven't looked great, but I think the spread should probably be like 4 here.
Yeah, well, I will say I think there's a big difference between 5 and 6 in the NFL, but whatever. That's a moot
How
point.
Is there a big? That's like point. A dead number.
6 isn't a dead number.
It's a number that rarely happens.
It happens a lot more than 5. Anyway.
Not really.
Anyway.
Like 1% more often.
Anyway.
Okay, go on.
I'm with you. I think at 6, the Falcons are the play. Did I play it? Absolutely not, because I can't trust Matt Ryan. And I think Calvin Ridley is a very big loss for this team because, they line up Kyle Pitts more like a receiver than a tight end. So he's going to be getting that number 1 cornerback attention. He's going to be getting safety over the top, and I don't really trust the other weapons on this offense.
Here's Marshawn Lattimore all game. Good luck, Kyle.
Exactly. So, he looked great without Calvin Ridley against the Jets in London, but against legit defenses and really good cornerbacks and safeties over the top, I don't see how he's going to fare. So you might get a lot of Cordero Patterson underneath here. Saints defense is good enough to hold this Falcons offense in check, but with Trevor Siemian, I can't lay 6 points. I can't do it, but I think the Falcons are the side, but I'm not betting it.
What about the under?
Yeah, I mean
42 is obviously pretty low, but it just, I don't know how really either of these teams is getting over 20. Maybe the Saints could get there, but I don't really.
I think the Saints could get there. Just from a standpoint of the Falcons defense is really bad, and I feel like they could just run with Kamara, complete a few screen passes, and I don't know.
I mean, we're also talking about the same Saints offense that like struggled to put up, what was it, 13 points against the Seahawks defense the week before. Like everyone remembers this awesome performance against the Bucks last week. The 2 weeks before that, they were dreadful on
But
offense.
that's how it's been all season. It's been blow out the Packers, can't score against the Panthers, blow out, like put up a bunch
That's
of
true.
Yeah. So it's like, who knows, honestly. And I don't know.
That's true. I think I swore off betting the Saints a couple weeks ago because I just couldn't figure them out. So maybe I should just go back to that approach. But I do think the Falcons have some value here at 6. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Saints team is.
Yeah.
Did you have any props you were going to look at? We do have some Falcons props available. None that really stuck out to me. Did you have anything that you were liking?
What are Cordero Patterson's receiving props at?
33.5 receiving yards.
All right. I wanted to see his reception total. I'd wait to see his receptions. I'd be curious what that's like. Because like I said, I feel like with Kyle Pitts getting all this attention, you might see a lot of Cordero Patterson underneath. So don't hate the yards there, honestly, but I'll wait to see his receptions.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, let's go to a game with some very interesting line movement that I think we will both have some things to say on. The LA Chargers against the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are 3-point home dogs. Over under is at 50 here. Chargers pretty disappointing last week coming off the bye, lost to the New England Patriots outright. Eagles obviously stomped the Detroit Lions. I think this is a good matchup for the Chargers. They came out and said they were working on their run defense during the bye. It did not come through at all last week. The Patriots ran the ball for 141 yards, but the Eagles, they're not going to run the ball. They don't want to run the ball. They can't run the ball very well. Yes, they had one good game against the Lions last week, but they were basically forced into that because they ended up being up by 30 points in like the second half or in the third quarter. I don't think that's going to be the case here. So I think the Chargers are in a really good spot. I was actually really excited to get this game under 3 when it opened at 2.5. And I opened up the DK Sportsbook yesterday, and all of a sudden it's Chargers -1 and it's heading towards a pick'em. So there's been a ton of action coming on the Eagles since then. It looks like we've had some buyback to get the Chargers back to -2. But I was very thrown off guard when I saw huge support coming in on the Eagles here, and it's got me a little bit perplexed.
Yeah, so this was one of my look-ahead spots last week. I saw the Chargers at 3.
Are you kidding me?
No, I didn't bet it. I saw them at 3.5, and I was like, all right, who knows what happens this week? Maybe the half point will disappear. Disappeared. I got it at 3, and then I see it at 1. So I doubled down on the Chargers. I absolutely love this play. Yes, the Chargers have not looked great the past couple weeks, but one win against the Detroit Lions for the Eagles does not change how bad this defense has looked. We saw them against the Raiders with Derek Carr completing 90% of his passes, whatever it was. They're not going to have any answers for this passing attack here. They're just not at that level yet. And like you said, they ran the ball against the Lions, but if the Chargers get up early here, they're going to completely abandon the run game if they get stuffed on a couple runs. I don't think Boston Scott's that great of a running back. Really don't think Jordan Howard's that great anymore. So This is just all Chargers for me. This line is an absolute joke. You can say what you want about how the Chargers have looked, but we sit here and watch every snap of the Eagles every week, and this defense is going to get absolutely shredded.
I agree with everything you say. It just makes me pause for a second when I like a play this much and I see the market go the complete opposite way. But I, like you, also dip back in at Chargers -1. So we are both in heavy on the Chargers here. I was actually going to look at an under, but I did see that both the Chargers and Eagles are top 5 in pace this year. So I think there's going to be a decent amount of plays run. I think the Eagles' red zone offense is just absolutely atrocious. Outside of last week, it feels like a miracle when they can get a play from the 1-yard line to go into the end zone. So I was thinking about the under, but I don't think I'm going to play it just based on the pace here. I did have one prop angle that I was going to look at when we got lines here. Did you have anything in the prop game?
Unless they lay another, I called Keenan Allen last week, thought we'd get a buy low spot. I'd be curious to see where that's at this week. If we do get another 5.5, whatever the juice is, I would take the over. Mike Williams yards, but wouldn't mind. He's
that. He's kind of disappeared the past few weeks.
Yeah. And honestly, maybe with the Eagles defense they kind of play that shell defense that a lot of teams are playing now, letting the underneath throws. So I think, an Austin Eckler receptions or yards there wouldn't be a bad look. So what do you got?
I could see Eckler. Yeah, I don't think the Eagles really have the linebackers or anything to cover him in the flat. So I do like Eckler. I was looking at Dallas Goedert overs. So the Chargers are actually excellent against the pass. I believe they're top 10 against pretty much every receiving like number 1, number 2, and number 3 wide receivers are all top 10, but they rank 30th against opposing tight ends. Goddard has cleared 70 yards in both games since the Zach Ertz trade. We know the Chargers like to defend the deep pass. I believe they're top 3 at defending the deep pass this season. So I think Goddard's going to have a ton of space in the middle of the field, out route, stuff like that. I think if we can get him again in the high 40s, even the low 50s, or he's been the last 2 weeks, I think Goddard's going to be in for a good spot here.
All right.
Let's move on. Packers and Chiefs, probably the most interesting game of the week. The Chiefs are now up to 7.5 point favorites. The over-under is down to 48. Want to guess who bet the Packers and
Stop
the over
betting
already?
The Packers early. Stop doing
this
it.
guy. Yeah, apparently I am the curse of the Packers because every time I bet them early, something bad happens. Or maybe I just get them to win outright. Maybe Jordan Love is going to come in here and win this game outright, just like Aaron Rodgers did sans Davante Adams last week. So we'll see. I'm kind of screwed here again with the over, kind of screwed here with my Packers and Cowboys teaser. But we move on. It's going to be Jordan Love. It's going to be no Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be no Robert Tonyan. We will get the receivers back. It sounds like Davante Adams, Allen Lazard, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling are all going to be back for this game. So at least there will be some weapons available. What do you have here? Did you also take the unfortunate stance of betting the Packers early?
I did not. I
Lucky you.
Teased the Chiefs after the news came out today. I will say I am a bit concerned the Packers take the same approach as they did last week and just, run it right down their throats, which you're more than capable of doing against the Chiefs defense here. So, but if the Chiefs lose to a backup QB, I don't know what to say anymore about this team. The offense, it's broken in terms of like the offensive lines had some issues and they've been snake bitten by turnovers, but I don't like they've moved the ball. Okay. I'd say more times.
Don't go back to this. They move the ball.
No, but I'm saying more times than not this year, they've had no trouble moving down the field. Like I'm not sure if the stats still holds, but I'm pretty sure they have close to the fewest punts in the league. They're still one of the best teams on third down. So it's just snake bitten by these turnovers. And I think when these stop happening, they're gonna click and they're gonna be able to have these 30+ point games a few weeks straight. So
are they going to stop happening?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't, at this point I can't say definitively either way, but if Pat Mahomes can't take down Jordan Love, then I said, I don't in Arrowhead, just finding out this news today. So a day or two less of game planning with Jordan Love. Odds were stacked against the Packers last week and they came through. So maybe it'll happen again, but Chiefs in a teaser, I feel pretty comfortable with it.
I would never tease the Chiefs here. I don't think that the Packers are likely to win, but I would never tease the Chiefs here. I don't like what I've seen from this offense at all. I think the defenses have figured out that if they just keep their safeties deep, you're not going to give up 80-yard touchdowns to Tyreek Hill every week. And Travis Kelce, I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if he's just getting old, but he's not getting open. He's not creating separation. It's basically just Tyreek Hill and a bunch of subpar dudes running around out there. And Patrick Mahomes is trying to make plays happen that aren't really there. I don't like what I've seen with the Chiefs offense. And Matt LaFleur does not get enough credit for being an excellent coach in this league. I don't think that he's a great in-game coach. Like, I don't love his decision-making at the end of the games. We obviously saw the disaster that happened against the Bucs in the NFC Championship game last year. But in terms of game planning, he is one of the best in the league. I think that he's going to be able to scheme up a way to be able to move the ball. They're going to use Aaron Jones. They're going to use A.J. Dillon. They're probably going to try and get Davante Adams some balls around the line of scrimmage, let him get the yards after the catch. I think Matt LaFleur is going to be able to come up with a game plan here to keep the Packers in the game, and they're going to be feisty. This feels like a lot like last week. I had the Packers at a bad number and I doubled down at 6.5. I have them here in a teaser, and I feel like I'm going to be doubling down, just betting them again. If this gets to 8 or 8.5, I think Matt LaFleur is going to be able to keep this one close and the Chiefs win another ugly, close game.
All right. But let's just say, you're praising Matt LaFleur here and all this, like rightly so. He's coached well, but last week was against Cliff Kingsbury. This week is against Andy Reid. So there's a big he doesn't have a big coaching advantage like he did last week. I know the Chiefs haven't looked great, but it's still Andy Reid's still one of the best coaches of all time. So let's pump the brakes.
Andy Reid doesn't coach the
defense.
defense. I mean, I'm saying the Packers offense is going to be able to move the ball.
Yeah, all right, but you don't think the Chiefs offense is going to be able to move against the Packers without their top 2 cornerbacks?
Yeah, they're going to, and they're going to turn the ball over like they do every single week. You can move the ball all you want, but if you throw an interception in the end zone, you might as well just punt it on for your own 20.
All right.
Give up less field position that way.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's a great coach and all, but they could have lost that game to Joe Judge and Daniel Jones.
I agree.
They could have lost outright on Monday night.
They could have.
They're bad. They're not good. They're not a good team.
I know they're a bad team. I'm not saying they're a good team. I've talked enough against the Chiefs on this podcast this season.
Don't tease bad teams as favorites.
All right.
All right, let's move on here to another. I mean, the quarterback injuries this week is just ridiculous. It feels like every single game we're like it.
Yeah.
All right, Cardinals and the 49ers. Cardinals are 1.5 point road favorites. Over under is 45. I believe the Cardinals were -3 at one point. Then it flipped to the Niners. Now it's going back to the Cardinals. Sounds like a lot of people trying to guess on whether or not Kyler Murray is playing with that sprained ankle injury. He was not at practice today. Neither was DeAndre Hopkins. We are recording this on Wednesday. But it doesn't sound like anyone really has any idea if Kyler's going to play or not and what kind of mobility he's going to have if he does play. These two teams did play earlier this year. That was Trey Lance's first start in the NFL. Cardinals closed -6 in that game at home. And they did cover, even though they probably shouldn't have. The Niners outplayed them in that game. What do you have here? Can you even have anything? I don't even know what to say here with the Kyler injury up in the air.
Yeah, I actually bought into the 49ers early at +3, so I'm pretty happy with that. Regardless if Kyler plays, I still really like the 49ers here. Like when I bought into this, I was under the impression Kyler was playing. So Packers exposed this Arizona run defense last week, and I think, I know Elijah Mitchell's a little bit banged up. His status is up in the air, but 49ers are just kind of a plug and play offense in the backfield. So I expect who's ever back there, if it's Jeff Wilson's back or JaMychal Hasty. I think they can take advantage of this Arizona run defense. You said it, week 5, 49ers outplayed the Cardinals. They probably should have won that game. Bad coaching decisions to go for it on certain 4th downs. Lance got stuffed at the goal line. Those little things ultimately ended up being the difference. But the 49ers outplayed them. There's a big trench advantage for the 49ers on both sides of the ball here. Arizona is also 29th in run stop win rate, and they've heavily regressed in pressure rate since sacking Ryan Tannehill 6+ times in week 1. So I like what I saw from the 49ers offense last week against the Bears back at home here, as I got them at 3-point underdogs. I absolutely love that spot.
Okay. Let me just play out the scenarios here. So if Kyler does end up playing, I think it's probably where you got it. I think it's probably Cardinals -3. And I agree. I'd probably take the Niners +3. Now, if Kyler sits and it's Colt McCoy for the Cardinals, I would say the spread is probably Niners -3.5, maybe -4. Would you consider coming back and playing the Cardinals at that point if they were +3.5 or +4 with Colt McCoy?
Yeah, this was the internal battle I went through with the Bengals last week. If I wanted to buy back on the Jets, given my luck with closing line value last week, maybe I
didn't make a great decision.
Maybe I would buy back, but probably not. I'd probably take it here. I felt good about it when I bet it, thinking Murray was playing. So, and if it's Colt McCoy, I feel pretty good the 49ers win. So I would sit with this unless something drastically changed.
I think I might play the Cardinals here. If we do get Colt McCoy in and the Cardinals are over a field goal dogs, I think I might play that. I'm not nearly as impressed with this Niners team as you are. They beat the Bears last week. That's great. To be clear, I don't want to sound like I'm a huge 49ers supporter. I haven't been on their side all game, but I like what they saw. I like the matchup for them this week, but I'm not a 49ers enthusiast moving forward. I want to be clear about that. All right. That's fair. Forget the Cardinals over 3 with Colt McCoy. Give me Colt McCoy.
All right.
Props here. I do agree with everything you said. I wrote down Elijah Mitchell over rush yards, smashed the last 2 weeks, 18 carries and over 100 yards in both games against two pretty solid run defenses, the Colts and the Bears. If it's not Elijah Mitchell, it sounds like he's going to be okay to play. If it is not him, I do not think you can touch the 49ers rushing game because Kyle Shanahan will he'll just pick a random guy. You'll have no idea who it is. Don't even try and play the guessing game. It's not worth it. So Elijah Mitchell has to be a full go for me to play this prop.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And nothing on the Cardinals side. We'll see what happens with DeAndre Hopkins. I think AJ Green was also on the COVID list. So we'll see if he plays. Might be a depleted receiving core there for the Cardinals. All right, moving on to Sunday Night Football. Another game with some important injury news. Ooh, yay. Tennessee Titans are 7.5-point road dogs to the LA Rams. Over under here is 54. I got the over here at 53.5 on the opener. This was, of course, before the Derrick Henry news broke. Another game that, somehow I still have half a point of value on, but, not really feeling great about. Derrick Henry's going to be out. Von Miller's going to be in. I think the availability of Julio Jones is going to be a big factor in this game. I think it's extremely unlikely the Titans are going to be able to run the ball without King Henry. I'm not sure if Adrian Peterson's going to be up and ready to go by this game. But you have Jalen Ramsey. He's probably going to be all over AJ Brown. So I think if the Titans are going to be able to keep this close, they're going to need Julio Jones out there. They can't be throwing the ball to Anthony Ferkser and Nick Westbrook-Akine. Like it's not going to go well. I think if they have AJ Brown and Julio, they'll have a chance. But outside of that, it's got to be all Rams here.
Yeah, beyond just the run game, Henry's a huge loss from a standpoint of play action. That's where Ryan Tannehill has most of his success throwing the ball. So I think that's just a huge hit to obviously the run game, but also the pass game. So this defense remains one of the worst defenses in the league, despite, being gifted a few turnovers last week by Wentz. This Rams offense is clicking right now. There's absolutely no one in the league that can cover Cooper Kupp right now. And the Titans certainly won't have an answer for that. So I expect big games from Stafford, Kupp, and Darrell Henderson. So if we get Stafford over 2.5 touchdowns at plus money, I'll be all over that. I have the Rams -6. I bet that as soon as the Henry news came out, and I also took their money line. Yes, I laid the juice with it because I'm an idiot, but I did that. When the Henry news came out, I was just like -6
just
money
panicked.
line. Yeah, exactly. You just bet as much as you can. So that's my. That's my stance on. I feel pretty. I'm not sitting here thrilled about having Rams -6, but now it's like I have good value on the line, so I'm going to stick with it. But I'll definitely be looking for some Matt Stafford props.
Okay, I like that look. How do you feel about the Rams in teasers?
I love the Rams in teasers. I'm just not going to buy any more stock in them because I already have hefty amount. But Rams in teasers would probably be one of my favorite teaser legs this week. And I did not see, I assume the Rams team total is probably 31.5.
30, 23. Yeah, it's got to be over 30.
Yeah. So
probably 30.5.
Honestly, still not terrible. If you could get like 30.5 or 31 flat, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, maybe see if you can do
Team
a same
touchdowns.
game parlay, like over 27.5 and Rams money line, something like that. See if you can create a -110 bet.
Yeah. Team totals. So we have over 3.5 touchdowns is juiced to -145, and then over 31.5 points is -110. So, probably a little bit out of the range where I would take it, but
okay. All right, that'll do it for Sunday night. Let's go to Monday Night Football. Boy, oh boy, do we have a game for you. The Chicago Bears. We love them in prime time. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are 6-point home favorites. Over under is 40. Gosh, what can you even say about this game?
We're both going to be on the Bears. We're both.
I don't know that I am. I'm definitely not laying 6 points with the Pittsburgh Steelers against really anyone. That's never something I'm going to do. But the Chicago Bears, I'm still kind of scarred from last week. I had them at a nice underdog price, and they didn't come through. And now Matt Nagy is back this week. If he can just take an extended leave of absence for COVID, or they can lock him in a closet, I think they might have a chance here. But we're probably going to see the Justin Fields that's not allowed to throw the ball or run the ball again, and it's going to be disgusting.
Yeah, it's a scary thought for Justin Fields in this matchup going against a pretty good defensive line. He's probably going to be under pressure. It's going to have to all come with his legs. So it could get ugly. I think if the Steelers end up covering the spread, it's probably because of turnovers, giving them great field position, maybe a defensive touchdown. Don't have stock in the Bears now, but I'll see if this moves up, and then I'll probably end up being on the Bears just because it's hard to not take over 6 points with the Steelers, as gross as it is backing the Bears right now.
I don't know what to do here. Maybe if you gave me a Bears +7, I feel like I would have to take it. But it's a Monday night game, which makes it tough because you're going to want to have a play here. But I
can't force it though. Can't force it if you don't like it.
This is part of bankroll management. I am going to take my own advice and not going to tilt bet this one unless something crazy happens with the spread. Is going to be a straight pass for me.
All right. And pretty hard to play any props in this. Maybe you look at Pat Freiermuth hit on his touchdown last week, but I feel like the market's going to kind of catch up to him now after a couple of weeks with 5 to 7 targets, whatever it's been.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where Najee's props open up. I feel like we haven't really seen many games where these Steelers are favorites and kind of expected to control the flow of the game, play from ahead, play with a lead. So maybe if you can look at a Najee, even if you think it's going to be some inefficient running, maybe if you can just find his attempts, we know he's going to be on the field for 90% of the snaps. Steelers are going to give him all the volume he can handle. So maybe you look at Najee Harris in a game that projects to be one where the Steelers are actually playing with a lead and can run the ball as much as they want to.
Yeah, they float these lower line. Like last week, his line was in the 60s, but it's, he's going to get probably close to, if not more than 20 carries. So yeah, if you get these lower lines, it's pure volume play.
Yeah, and we saw Elijah Mitchell in the same matchup last week go for 18 and 137. Yeah, so I mean, this Bears defense can definitely be run on in the ground. So
yeah, definitely.
All right. Anything left to say here on week number 9?
No, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but obviously by this point, everyone figured it out. We do not have a debate this week. Obviously we do that from time to time when we're not strongly disagreeing on one side. So we're going to hold at a tie record for now.
Our fake debate of the week will be Chuba Hubbard rush yards.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, let's go to long shots of the week. In this segment, we give you our favorite long shot on the board. Odds are going to be +200 or better. It can be a straight bet, a parlay, a same game parlay, anything that we find value in on the board. Rue, kick it over to you to kick us off with the long shots.
All right, so we don't have the props yet, obviously, but I want to go to a game we were just talking about a few minutes ago in the 49ers, and I want to go with Elijah Mitchell, assuming he plays, and I want to go 100 yards and a 49ers win. Should be probably mid 200 odds, I would guess. Probably maybe better.
Even be more. 100 yards.
You're probably right. Yeah, probably be plus 300 something. So I'll go with that. I guess if he doesn't play, we can throw in Debo at 100 receiving yards in the 49ers win, because Debo's been an absolute monster. That is another prop I will be going back to this week if we get another 5.5, which I will take that every single week with the targets he's seeing, even with George Kittle probably back in the lineup this week. That's also something we didn't mention this week, is George Kittle might be coming back. I don't know if you said that.
Oh, is he? I thought he was out for another week. Yeah. Okay.
That's not definite, but trending.
I feel like we always forget to really go in depth on Debo Samuel. He's been amazing this year.
Didn't I feel you bet every week under before the season too?
I have a ticket on Debo Samuel under 895. No, it did not. I got a good number. It did not lose yet. I still stand by the play. He had a lengthy injury. The process was he has a lengthy injury history, and Brandon Ayuk was projected to be the number 1 wide receiver for this team. I didn't know Kyle Shanahan was going to put Ayuk in the doghouse for no reason and feed Debo every single game. This is a guy that hasn't stayed healthy his whole career.
All right, you stand by your process as Debo goes on to break the single season receiving record.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll just cash T.Y. Hilton, J.J. Watt, and all these other guys that can't stay healthy without a sweat. So no big deal. My long shot of the week, I am going to be going to the Miami Dolphins. My guy, Tua Tagovailoa. Let's go over. His line right now is 246.5. We'll say over 250 pass yards, and then we'll go over 60 receiving yards for Devontae Parker. We don't have same game parlays available quite yet, but somewhere around those numbers, maybe you'll have to go 65 on Parker, somewhere around there. I'd like Tua over. I like Parker over. I'm going to parlay them together. It's going to be plus 200 or greater, maybe like plus 220, somewhere around there. And that's going to be my long shot of the week. Dolphins passing offense.
All right.
All right. Favorite bets of the week. I will give you the honors. Go ahead.
Hands down, Chargers at the Eagles. I'm going to be at the game, but no one, everyone wants to have fun when they go to a game, root for the home team, but I don't like fun. I like money. Chargers, favorite bet of the week. Said it, I don't see how this Eagles defense is stopping the Chargers consistently enough, and I don't trust Nick Sirianni if the Eagles start to go down early. So give me the Chargers all day. I think I have, I said I usually keep it to one to 1.5 unit bets. I have about 3 units on the Chargers right now. So
wow,
yeah.
An Eagles fan going to an Eagles game betting the Chargers. Some might say you have two hens in the chicken house.
No.
What was the saying?
A duck in each hen house.
Some might say you have a duck in each hen house.
Yeah.
Drew.
Yes, I have a duck in each hen house. I will be rooting for both teams at Sunday's Eagles game.
Every time someone scores, you're cheering. All right, for my lock of the week. Favorite, whatever you want to call it. I really like Devontae Parker over receiving yards. I was thinking about going there, but I said earlier, right now, the way that my week is shaping up, at least from a side perspective, I have a ton of exposure to this Dallas Cowboys team. I have them in teasers. I have them in a very large bet in at -9. So I'm going to take the Cowboys -9 as my favorite bet of the week. I think anything under 10 is solid. Like I said, this Cowboys offense cannot be stopped. You can only hope to contain them. And by contain them, I mean hold them to 28 points. I don't think the Broncos are sniffing 20 here. I think the Cowboys win by double digits. And I think this Broncos team has serious quitter mentality potential. Like they could start to fold and fall apart real quickly here. Vic Fangio's on his way out. Von Miller's already out. The team's a mess. All Cowboys. Lock of the week.
Wow. All right.
Laying big money. Went to 14 last week with the Bills, and now we're laying 9 with the Cowboys.
Daring strategy.
All right. Are we ready for our chalk donkey parlay? See if we can get the chalk donkey back on the road to victory.
All right, let's do it. I am on FanDuel.
I am on DraftKings.
Do you want to start with the Colts tomorrow night?
Do we worry about Mike White?
I am completely comfortable taking the Colts to win. So
all right,
I will be adding them in my chalk donkey.
All right, Colts in, Bills
in, Cowboys in.
All right, I'm at -156.
Uh-oh. Do you want to go Rams?
Yeah, I feel like you have to go Rams. There we go.
Plus 103 on FanDuel right now.
Plus 111 on DraftKings.
All right.
Putting it in right now. Bills money line, Colts money line, Cowboys money line, and the Rams money line will be our chalk donkey parlay of the week.
All right.
2 units going on that in the bank right now.
I will do, I guess, 1 unit to give myself more exposure on the Rams, but
yeah, what are you going to do? Anything left for you to say here?
Nope.
All right. That is a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope everyone out there has an awesome week 9 in the NFL. Any questions, comments, concerns, hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Smash the like button on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. Give it a, we already said the 5-star review.
Give it another one. Give it another one. That's fine.
Give it multiple 5-star reviews. Tell a friend. Link of the YouTube video will be in the description of this podcast, wherever you download your podcast. From Jeff and Rue, we are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast, because every time you bet with us, you bet right.